Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Crime Rush and I am Inga, and today we're back with another true crime story. Now in today's case, we will be discussing two American teens and just how crazy it can get when you don't control your jealousy. The unimaginable happened in this case. But before we dive in, if you are sensitive to this type of content, rather switch it off and take care of your mental health first. But for the rest of you, get ready for a deep dive on the case of Kirsten Costas. Kirsten Costas was born on the 23rd of July, 1968, and she grew up in Orinda, California. Kirsten had a wonderful childhood. She had one brother, and her parents did very well financially. They were very stable, and she grew up in a good household. And her parents could afford to give Kirsten and her brother the best of the best. And they provided everything the kids needed and a lot more. She attended Miramonte High School and she was beautiful and very confident. She excelled at everything she did. She was part of the school's varsity swim team and also the cheerleading squad. And Kirsten was very popular. In fact, my research shows that she was probably the most popular girl in the school. And with that came a lot of friends and a lot of admirers. But there are reports claiming that Kirsten could be a bit of a mean girl. They said that she could be a bit conceited and look down on others and often hurt people with snide remarks. Now, I'm just thinking this is a 16-year-old girl at the time that we are talking about now, and we should just give her a bit of a break because I think at that age, everybody makes mistakes. Bernadette Protti was born on the 20th of September 1968 and attended Miramonte High School alongside Kerstin. Now, Bernadette's family were described as more middle class, and she had 5 siblings, so altogether they were 6 children in the household. And while I was doing my research on Bernadette, I found a quote describing her as, and this is a direct quote, ordinary looking and mildly popular. Bernadette lacked a lot of self-confidence. A lot of her schoolmates, like Kerstin, had families who were very wealthy, and she felt almost left out and not good enough. And she was very self-aware. In 1984, there were tryouts for the cheerleading team. And Bernadette really wanted to make this team. She really wanted an opportunity to stand out. And if she made this cheerleading squad, it would automatically make her extremely popular. Now, I'm not sure if this is what it's like in America. Let me know, because we didn't even have cheerleading at my school. We always see it as more of an American thing. I know there is some cheerleading happening somewhere in South Africa. It's just not where I live. But let me know if that's the case still. If you are a cheerleader, you are popular. I don't know if that's still a thing. But the fact that she didn't make this cheerleading squad absolutely crushed Bernadette. And just after that, she applied to be part of the school yearbook team, and she got rejected for that as well. So this was just a buildup of rejection in Bernadette's life. But Bernadette was part of the swim team, and she was part of the Bobo Links. Now, the Bobo Links were some sort of a sorority group of the high school, and apparently only popular kids were allowed to join. So to me, it sounds like Bernadette really wasn't doing as bad as she thought she was. Kerstin, however, was not only part of the swim team and the Bobo Links, but she was also in the cheerleading squad. And this was the thing that Bernadette wanted the most. And Bernadette just felt like Kerstin just had it all. She just could do no wrong. And this all made Bernadette extremely bitter and jealous of Kerstin. To add more fuel to the fire, Kerstin made snide remarks and embarrassed Bernadette. And soon, Bernadette's feelings towards Kerstin turned to hate. On the 21st of June in 1984, Bernadette phoned Kerstin's home. Kirsten's mother answered the phone, and without disclosing who she was, Bernadette informed her mother that Kirsten was invited to a Bobo Links initiation dinner, which would take place that Saturday. She just told Kirsten's mom that they would pick her up from her home and that she should just be ready and waiting for them. But in reality, there really was no dinner. That Saturday, on the 23rd of June 1984, Bernadette lied to her parents and told them she had to babysit kids in the neighborhood. Her dad went and dropped her off at the home where she was supposed to babysit, and he drove off without watching her go inside. Once he drove off, Bernadette walked back to her home and then got into her family's yellow Ford Pinto and drove to Kirsten's home to pick her up. As soon as Kirsten got into the car, Bernadette drove off, and she soon told her the truth. There was no dinner. She said she was rather going to take Kirsten to a party. And soon after this, nobody really knows what happened, but we know that an argument broke out between the two girls. I can only assume that Kirsten must have thought that it was very strange and quite disturbing that Bernadette would lie about the dinner and act this way. And the first opportunity that Kirsten got, she jumped out of the car while yelling to Bernadette that she was weird. She ran to the nearest home, which belonged to Alex Arnold, a man that she actually knew. And she told Arnold that she had been picked up by her friend who suddenly turned weird and she didn't feel safe. So Alex Arnold allowed her to come into the home to phone her parents. Now you have to remember, there were no cell phones back then, so she could only phone her home phone. And unfortunately, her parents weren't home. But Alex told Kirsten that he would drive her home. As Alex was driving Kirsten home, he noticed that a yellow Pinto was following them, and he asked Kirsten about it. But she almost just brushed it off and said he shouldn't worry about it, it's just her friend, and that she was fine. Unfortunately, Kirsten never mentioned Bernadette's name. Alex dropped Kirsten off at her home, but unfortunately there was no way for her to get in because her parents weren't home yet. So she decided to walk over to her neighbor's house. And as she started making her way to her neighbor's house, that's when she heard footsteps behind her. And when she turned around, she saw it was Bernadette. She soon noticed that Bernadette had a knife in her hand, and she started backing away and screaming at Bernadette to leave her alone. And that's when Kirsten was viciously attacked. She stabbed Kirsten twice in the stomach, and with this, Kirsten fell on the ground, and that's when Bernadette proceeded to stab her twice more in the back. After that, Bernadette ran to her car and drove off. Alex Arnold was actually waiting in the car to see that Kirsten could get in safely, so he witnessed the entire attack. But he didn't know how serious it was because it was dark out and he couldn't really see anything. He just knew there was an altercation. He actually thought it was like a fist fight. And he didn't have any idea that Kirsten was lying there fatally wounded. So he took off and went after the yellow Pinto. He was chasing after Bernadette, but unfortunately, he lost her. While Alex was chasing Bernadette, Kirsten had mustered up the strength to scream and to pull herself up to try and make it to her neighbor's door. Her neighbors heard the scream and they came out, and that's when they saw Kirsten. And she said, "Help me." She then collapsed and was rushed to the hospital. But sadly, Kirsten passed away soon after this. When Alex made his way back to the home to just check up on Kirsten, he was shocked to see so many police outside. He had no idea what was going on. And as soon as he realized how serious it was, he immediately went to the police and told them everything that had happened that evening. But of course, unfortunately, Kirsten never said Bernadette's name, but he had gotten a glimpse of her. Police conducted hundreds of interviews and found over 700 yellow Ford Pintos registered in Orinda. Bernadette was questioned, and she was acting as a grieving friend very convincingly. And she had an alibi. She said she was babysitting. But only later on, when police checked up on her alibi, they realized that Bernadette was lying. She never babysat that night. They asked her to come back for questioning immediately, and that's when she admitted to them that, yes, her alibi was a lie, but she said the only reason why she lied was because she had actually snuck out to meet with a boy and she didn't want her parents to know about it. The police then asked her to do a polygraph test, which she did, and she passed it. A criminal profiler from the FBI created a behavioral profile to narrow down the search a bit. And police soon realized that this actually sounded exactly like Bernadette. And even when they questioned her and they mentioned it to her, she also said, that sounds just like me. But she didn't confess, and police were very suspicious, but they had no real concrete evidence against her, so they couldn't do anything. But everything was pointing to Bernadette. Police didn't know it yet, but Bernadette was actually ready to confess. She was just going to do it on her terms. She wrote a letter and she gave it to her parents, and she asked them not to open it until she left home and got on the bus to go to school. And her parents listened, and when Bernadette left, they opened the letter, and this is what it said. Dear Mom and Dad, I have been trying to tell you this all day, but I love you so much, it's too hard, so I'm taking the easy way out. The FBI man thinks I did it, and he is right. I've been able to live with it, but I can't ignore it. It's too much for me, and I can't be that deceiving. Please still love me. I can't live unless you love me. I've ruined my life and yours, and I don't know what to do, and I'm ashamed and scared. Bernadette. P.S. Please don't say how could you or why, because I don't understand this and I don't know why. After reading this letter, her parents immediately drove to her school, picked Bernadette up, and took her to the police station where she confessed to police. In part of her confession, Bernadette said, and I quote, I was afraid she was going to tell everyone I was really weird. I thought, oh my God, everything's going wrong. She's going to tell everyone. Kerstin just sort of put me down. I remember one time on the ski trip we were on together. I mean, we don't have a lot of money and we can't afford a lot of nice ski stuff. And I just had this really crummy pair of skis and some boots. But I was having fun anyway. Kerstin made some comment about them, and it just seemed like everyone else was thinking that. But she was the only one who would come out and say it. She had never liked me, but I thought she was okay. It hurt, and I couldn't change, like looks or money or popularity. According to Bernadette, she didn't plan on unaliving Kerstin that night. Her sister even testified that she was the one who kept a knife in the car, as she would often prepare vegetarian meals in the car, and that it wasn't Bernadette that actually took the knife with her. But I don't know if I believe that. On the 11th of December in 1984, Bernadette Protti was charged, and her trial took place a year later. She was tried as a juvenile, and there was no jury, just a judge. And on the 13th of March in 1985, she was convicted of second-degree unaliving. Turns out the judge didn't believe that it was premeditated. I happen to disagree, but Bernadette got 9 years. In prison, she would go on to get a high school diploma and an associate's degree. And after 7 years in 1992, Bernadette was released. 7 years is a bit light for me. If you've taken someone's life, I expect you to sit behind bars for a very, very, very long time, unless it was self-defense or something like that. But this, she knowingly did this to another person, and she only spent 7 years behind bars. In my opinion, let me know what you think. My opinion, it's too light. But Bernadette, she got out, she changed her name, she left California, and nobody knows where she is to this day. Now, I just want to mention that I have seen on the internet that people are really cruel in their comments, not towards Bernadette, but actually towards Kirsten, saying that she was a mean girl and that she deserved it. And I just want to say I will not tolerate any comments like that whatsoever. I don't care if she was a mean girl or not. This girl was 16 years old when she lost her life. She didn't deserve it. And there is no way to justify what Bernadette did. But let me know what your thoughts are. But please keep it respectful and be kind to each other. And thank you so much for tuning in and watching another video of mine. Don't forget to like this video to show your support. And please make sure you stay safe in this crazy world. And I will see you in the next one.